and welcome to today's webinar, where we're going to be speaking about Microsoft Business Central, which powers Bevica, and Claudia will be speaking about what's new in Wave 2 2025.
Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. So the purpose of today is really to give you an overview of what's coming in this Wave 2, both from a little bit about Business Central and primarily about what's coming in Bevica. So I thought I'd start by setting the scene as to the timetable that our support desk have kind of outlined for getting everyone up and running. So the Wave environment was set up last month, or some point in last month. And what we're going to be doing is from mid-November, we're going to start waiving people, so upgrading people to the new version. So you've got an opportunity to do some testing, familiarize yourself with what's changed. And then from the 13th, in conjunction with support, no one's going to do it without telling you, we will be waiving everyone. Our standard procedure is not to do anything in December, because we know everyone's busy in December. If you can do it in December, let us know, and we're happy to do that. But by default, we won't be touching anyone's systems in December for waiving. We'll be restarting on the 6th of January. So January, February really is when we definitely need to get everyone waived across, because the deadline is the 26th of February. On that date, Microsoft will force everyone onto the new update. So I'd rather no one was forced than that we all did it. We programmed it properly. So we're going to talk about, like I said, Business Central and Bevica today in this Wave 2. So I'm going to start off just by touching on a few of the Business Central changes. So these are the headlines or the agendas that Microsoft are advertising. So it's the usual set of kind of topics that they talk about. Lots on Copilot, lots on reporting. I'd say Copilot and reporting are the two big ones, and then a kind of a spattering of bits and pieces across the board, across all the software. Some new things that you'll recognize as a user just as you play around with the software, and then there are some features obviously that you need to go in and investigate. But kind of the normal stuff there from Microsoft. Just wanted to highlight, this is how Microsoft present the changes. So this is on their website. So public preview means that you can look at it, but you can't actually start using it. And then general availability means that you can then actually start using the software. And this is just an example of the financial management improvements. It's also interesting, if you look at the bottom one on this list, calculate excise taxes. That looked quite interesting, or it looks interesting. It's available to look at now, and availability from January. So it'll probably be one of the hot fixes in January. It's not quite what we think it is. So it's all around sustainability. And what Microsoft are calling it is a framework for future development, but it's all based around sustainability. So they talk about things like EPR, carbon border adjustment mechanism, things like that, where you can post a journal and you can record things that are happening. It doesn't do anything with duty statuses, costings, anything like that at the moment, but we'll keep an eye on it. And if it becomes useful, then we'll integrate it into what we have in Bevica. So we'll just keep an eye out on that one for the time being. Claudio,
we've had our first question. Someone has asked, can we provide the links for all of this? And I can sort that out afterwards for the person that asked, but also we can include that in the emails after the event as well, if they're not included in your slides later on. But I know that link is available, so we can share that.
Yeah, they're on the presentation later on, quite a few links, and yes, we'll make them available to everyone, so that's fine. There is a lot to look at. Yeah. If you're really eager, there is lots to look at. Yeah. Yep. So I cherry-picked some of the highlights that I think that I find interesting. The usability, so personalization pages and columns. There's more bits and pieces there that people will take advantage of. There's more on sustainability, so I think every release will have more on that. Reporting, the Power BI reports, the free ones that come from Microsoft have been updated, and they have more reports. So if you're using that at the moment, refresh your Power BI apps, or if you're not using them, install them and just have a play around. It's easy to install, and they just take your data and visualize it really nicely. Then the bottom one is the one I'm actually most interested in this release. Unfortunately, it's not available even to look at until December, but they are including a quality control module in the software. So not knowing what's coming in that, I'm hoping that it'll be things like on a purchase order or a transfer order, you'll be able to pull out some stock and send it for analysis, or create some records in the software to say that you've checked it, certificates, number series, things like that. But we'll see in December what comes out of that, and when we have a play with it, we'll probably release a little video or some notification of what's there, and you'll be able to try it out for yourselves. But that one's quite interesting. So one of the things that are being removed from the software, not in this wave update, but in the next one in early 2026, is pricing. So those of you that are on the old sales pricing model will have this unfortunately switched off for wave 1 next year, and it's replaced with a new pricing experience. We have a handful of customers who are still on the old version, so there's a process we need to go and help you move over to the new pricing experience, as Microsoft call it. So before anyone panics, if this is what your sales price page looks like, then you can give yourselves a big tick. That's the new one. You have nothing to worry about. Basically, it says sales price lists at the top, or purchase price lists. If your pricing looks like this, which is more about filtering and lots of lines, unfortunately, you're on a timer. So we need to get you testing and being familiar with the new pricing model, and we can help you with that and moving over.
So on that note, we have got the final list now of who's going to be invited, and there will be a session later at the end of November as a refresher to anyone that's currently using it. Excellent. And we will send those invites out to the marketing team next week. And please join the session as a refresher if you need any extra help. And then we ask people to sort of consider it and then start doing that work in January, as Claudia has already said. So yeah, the date's there. Please look out for that invite in your inboxes.
Yep, so just add a little bit to that on this slide. There are 2 articles on Freshdesk. One is about how you switch over from the old to the new, and there's an automatic routine that will do that for you. And there's a Freshdesk article for that, taking you through the steps, what you should click and what you should, how you should run that. And then there's the functionality on how to use it is the second note there under Freshdesk articles. So that really tells you how it works, how you update it, how you get your duty-free, your duty-paid pricing. The webinar will be run by Nicola, my colleague, on the 25th of November. That's really just a refresher on everything that's in those articles and any questions you've got. And support have asked me to mention, if you do have any queries on it, if we can log them in the open ticket that you should have for sales pricing, then we can keep a track of any queries you have, and it'll be easier to manage. Okay, so Ian, another colleague on the support desk, did a webinar last week that was quite well attended specifically on the Business Central changes. So if you want to watch that, it's half an hour, just like this one. It'll be on the tvision.co.uk website soon if it's not already. And he goes into just a little bit more detail about the Business Central specific wave changes. But what you can do is there's a lot of self-serve information out there. So Microsoft do that documentation. That's the one I said that's quite hefty, lots of pages, lots of information. And if you follow that link, you'll be able to get there. But also recently they've been doing a lot of work on YouTube. So there are lots of videos, both for just general BC functionality and Wave functionality. So if you follow that BC YouTube, you can navigate to the Wave release set of videos. These are all quite short, 10 minutes, 5 minutes long, just on each of the releases. So this is where I'll come when I want to look at the quality control thing. I'll come here first, see what they think about it, and then I'll kind of go and play with it myself. So this is, each Wave release has their own videos. And for general functionality, these are even shorter snippets, like 2 or 3 minutes, 5 minutes of what's cooking, as they call it. functionality, how you use particular bits of functionality. They can be quite nice just to catch up on things. So that's the Business Central bit. So we've got our webinar with kind of our highlights. Then you can obviously go to the Microsoft pages and go into a lot of detail about when things are released, what they're doing, and interestingly, why they're doing it. They try and explain the purpose for adding new features and functionality, which is good to put it into context. So that's the Microsoft bit. From a Bevica point of view, these are kind of the headings for the bits and pieces we've been doing over the last 3 or 4 months, and that we are releasing, and some stuff that's coming soon. So a lot of work just on Essentials itself, page reserves and warehousing, and web integration, and a little bit on distribution costs and Shopify. So I'm just going to go into a bit of detail and show you some of these things that we've done. So on Essentials, so we're continually adding fields to document templates, and these really come from you guys. So if there's a field on a purchase order that you want to make available on the purchase order confirmation or purchase invoice or whatever, let us know and we add them. We're doing that continually from requests. Then on the CRM side, we've added some functionality to the segmentation tool that lets you add customer and vendor information to how you segment your contacts. I think that's quite useful. It's been in the previous product for years and years, so we decided to add it to this one. And then on price list, because we now know everyone has to move on to price list, we've just been doing tweaks to make it kind of easier to understand, easier to use. And again, any suggestions on anything else we can do on price list, then let us know. A few more on Essentials. We've done some work on item tracking. So lot numbers, package and serial numbers, anyone who needs to track products through the system using serial numbers, rotation numbers, we've made it a bit easier and added a few more links here and there to make it easier. And then we've done a bit of functionality on purchase orders that let you use the rotation number, which is kind of a light touch lot number, using that to track specifically on Premier orders, on Premier purchases, but just in general, any type of purchase order. We're noticing also that more and more non-alcoholic products are being added to Bevica. So we're continually going through the different bits of software to see, can we make anything easier to add non-alcoholic products that might not be duty controlled. So just making sure that if you have a 0% wine and it's not duty controlled, that you can manage it just as easily as it was a duty control from purchase, stocking it, sales, and so on. And then a big one we've been doing this year is performance in quite a few areas. As we get more customers using the software, as we get bigger customers using the software, we are continually checking for performance. So something that was mentioned probably 2 or 3 months ago was the inventory valuation report. The Bevica version was quite slow, so we significantly changed that by changing some of the way that it works. Sales line worksheets also been improved. Improvements to posting routines, so how sales orders are posted. So I'd just like to touch on a few of those. So if I go into Bevica itself, so just quickly show you the segmentation tool, because I don't think this is an area that a lot of people use. So it's a way of showing you the new software that we've added and just the fact that it exists, and it might be useful. So this is a segment, and a segment effectively is a list of contacts that meet some criteria that then you want to do something with. So email them, create a to-do, phone them up, that sort of thing. And the scenario here is that I want to pull out all my wholesale customers, identify the buyers for those customers, and then whittle it down to all those people who have not bought a particular product. In this case, it's a Barolo. So to do that, to do that, there's a couple of steps. So we start with add contacts. So what we're doing here, we're starting with our big pool of contacts. And if I scroll down, the bits that are new to the software, so these are all the different filters you can add. So we've added product-related information to segmentation. We've added customer and vendor. So that now means that you don't have to add to your contact card all the fields that you want to segment on that you know are naturally on the customer, which is something you'd have to do in standard. So I'm going to pick customer price group, which is not something that sits on the contact card. So I'm going to pick all my wholesale customers. Just check if it's blank, say OK. So that will go through and identify all the wholesale customers, all the contacts for the wholesale customers. You'll see it's a full kind of list at the moment just of that. So now I want to limit this to the buyers in those companies. So for that, I do refine. And again, on refine, we have all the standard fields. And for this particular one, I'm going to use job responsibility of purchase. So all the people who are responsible for purchasing. Say OK. And then it'll remove anyone that's not a purchasing contact. And then the final one is what they actually bought. So I use the reduce for that one. If I scroll down to the bottom, again, we've got the same standard fields. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, we'll use the one that we've added for things that customers have bought. So I want to remove all the people who have bought this product in this particular year. And if I say OK, you'll see now that this list is just those people who work for wholesale businesses who are the buyers, so they're my target audience, who haven't bought a particular product. So hopefully that's given you a bit of an idea of what segmentation is, but also the extra fields that we've added.
We've just had a comment saying that for price lists, it would be great to provide a reference of what was the reason for a special customer price for an item being added. So I don't know whether that's something that anyone else has asked for, or whether that's something that you can do, or maybe we can add that to the list of things to talk about afterwards with clients.
Yeah, yes, maybe we can find a bit more information about the question. Yeah. Okay. So going back to the slides. So the next bit is the fine wine. So again, we've done a bit of work on fine wine. Again, some of this is around performance and data migration. So as we get more clients in the fine wine sector, they'll be doing more data migration. So we've improved the performance on importing paid reserve quite significantly, in fact, by just going back to the code and adding some indexes and refactoring it. We've added also the ability to add an external paid reserve number. So if you're bringing data in from a previous system or from maybe someone else that you want to carry on using their reference, you can add that when you import it. So we keep kind of the chain of auditability from old to new. Some work on the duty management, the alcohol percent check. And then there's also some functionality which is specific to anyone integrating with the Vision warehouses, is to move any stock that we sell into paid reserve automatically from one location to another location. Or they call it I think a site or an account. No, they call it an account. So on Vision, when you sell something into paid reserve from your company account, they will send it and put it into another account, and we can mimic that now in Bevica. So I know some people are doing this manually at the moment, but the software will automatically do that if you want. So again, just go back to the software, come out of segmentation and go to my paid reserve journal. So a couple of things to show on the paid reserve journal. If we're importing a huge volume of paid reserve lines, to help the software process those more efficiently, we've added a little tick here on, in this case, the data migration batch that commits each line as it's posting. So the default way of doing it for the software is to post everything in a complete batch. So if you have 100,000 lines, it would process the 100,000 and then insert them, if you like, all in one go. If you have this ticked, it'll do them one by one, which means that if there's any slowdown in performance, it won't crash the system or stop it working. So it'll just carry on chugging away one line at a time. So that's useful if you're doing large volumes. If you're not, it doesn't really make that much difference. So I'm going to pick that one for this example. And then the field that lets you create the paid reserve using the number that you want is this import paid reserve number. So import 001, and they have to be unique. If they're not, the software will complain. So I'm just going to make it unique. 1, 2, 3. You can import that using a config package, so you don't obviously have to do it manually. And then when you're ready, you populate them all, you post. Yes. And you'll notice that we've also added that alcohol percent check. It's checking to see if the percentage alcohol is the same as the item record. You might want to switch this off if you're doing data migration. Otherwise, you can leave it on for general importing. You say, OK, in this case, it's just let me go through it. It's notified me and it's ignoring me. I don't want to ignore it. Go all the way through. It'll post the batch. And just to show you, so paid reserves. If I go to my paid reserves, and I'll probably be at the bottom. There's my import 1, 2, 3. So effectively, you're using an external reference to track your paid reserves if that's useful. I think most people will use that for migrating from old system to new system. Okay. On warehouse integration, we've added Coterie Vaults as a supported warehouse. They use the Vision software, so we've added them and did some tweaks for the way they use the software. And then just in general, we've added more features. There's nothing significantly large in that list. It's just little tweaks. As more people are using those features, we tweak them, improve them. Some to do with the item reconciliation. There's a few changes there, pre-advices and so on. So again, we value people's feedback so that then we can improve continually things that we've released. On the web integration side, you can now, using our APIs, draw down from unpaid reserves. You can process sales into reserves, and you can process broking orders. So that means that you can send to the website item information about your unpaid reserves, your paid reserves in your broking list, process them on the website, format the sales order coming back into Bevica using an API, and then process a sale into reserve as if someone had done it directly in the software. So that's quite useful. A couple of new APIs, just read-only ones, so sales header and lines, posted sales invoices, so you can make you can add kind of account-related information for customers. And then on performance, again, we've done quite a work on performance to try and make it as slick as possible, especially with larger volumes. The significant one there, I think, is the item stock updates. So telling websites of how much stock we have per item and location in unit of measure. I think we've done a big change in that to make it significantly faster. And then just to show that we are using AI internally, we've got an AI bot to create our GitHub documentation that's available publicly for people to look at. The last three on things that are available now. So on the distribution cost management, there's a more granular reconciliation. If you want to do reconciliation by line rather than by document, we've added dimensions to that so that we can do proper reporting at kind of both ends, a reconciliation and at the initial posting. On cellerage, you can now decide the sort order and how you want customers to view their cellerage charges. That might be by product, by date, by region, for example. So you can sort that out when you're doing your cellerage invoicing. You can also do more easily now invoicing by periods. So in the past, it was a little bit tricky to do one invoice that ran across 3 quarters or 2 quarters, for example. Now it's much easier to do that. And you can also now reverse cellerage ledger entry. So if you've made a mistake and you want to credit someone a particular cellerage invoice, it's even easier to do that. And on Shopify, where we have done some work on the refunding process, and we're still doing some work on the refunding process, so that's ongoing. So that's what's available now with the release. There's this webinar will be on our website soon as we've done the admin on it. And there's lots of notes on Freshdesk, our release notes and how-tos for everything that I've talked about so far is all available to find out more information on Freshdesk. So things that are coming soon. On the sales line worksheet, we've added something called a customer profile. So you can decide when you open the sales line worksheet from a customer which types of lines open up on the sales line worksheet. So hopefully that makes it quicker if you know a customer is only interested in one type of line. We're introducing sample sales orders. So basically you create a sales order, tell it it's a sample sales order, quantities will be, so prices will be 0, and the unit of measure will be the base or the bottle. So quick and easy, and then reporting of that will be easier because we are defaulting some values. And alongside that, we are manipulating the general product posting group on those sales lines. So you can push financial values to different places in the GL. That's primarily for sample orders, but that can be used across the board. So those will be available in the next month or so definitely this year. Going into next year, we've redesigned the broking process, making some improvements on that. We think it'll be a lot more future-proof for the way people want to use broking. Again, into next year, we're introducing international duty. So that's the idea that you'll have jurisdictions around the world that have different duty codes, and movements between those jurisdictions will have different charges that we can apply in terms of duty. That will only be for people that want international duty. If it's not relevant to you, you will be able to carry on doing what you do now with no difference. On warehousing, we're introducing paid reserves. So you'll be able to manage your paid reserves in warehousing. That's duty paid and duty free warehousing. Better integration with additional charges. And then one of our bigger plans for next year is to do some LiveX automation, the selling and the buying of products across LiveX from Bevica. Okay, so that was a whistle-stop tour of all the changes that we've made. Hopefully some, if not all of those, are useful or interesting. Like I said, you can let us know if you want more information or look at Freshdesk maybe to begin with, and then we can fill in the blanks or help you with anything you need to. We'd appreciate it if you could use a QR code here and answer some of Microsoft's questions. They call it an immersion briefing. It's just a questionnaire on the webinar today. So we would appreciate it if you would go through that.
So in the meantime, whilst we've been talking, we had another upvote for reason codes on special prices. So okay, that's something I guess to talk about internally to add to the list. And also there's a question around whether you know if there's anything coming on improving interest stats.
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything, but I can investigate and find out. If you can tell me, whoever that was, if they can tell me what they'd like to see in interest stat, maybe I can ask Microsoft.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. If there's any other questions, please do speak now. Put them in the question box. We'll leave the screen up just for a little bit longer to snap that QR code and fill in the form. But thank you so much, everybody, for attending today. We hope you found that useful. As Claudio said, that will be available on the website, and I'm sure an email will go out also with a link, webinar on demand, and that Business Central webinar also that took place last week with myself and Ian also. Looks like there's no more questions, but if you do think of anything, please do get in touch and we'll be happy to help. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.